Discover calm without effort by embracing things exactly as they are. Notice how often you resist the present moment, even in small ways. Today, we'll explore the Dharma wisdom of Suchness, the profound peace found in simply being here, now. Share in the comments where you're sitting, what time it is where you are, and one small thing you're resisting right now. Let this gentle practice soften your heart. Now let's gently embrace things as they are. Imagine the quiet space within you right now, the space before thought arrives. Notice the gentle rise and fall of your breath, the soft sound of the room, the simple fact of your presence. This is the ground of Suchness, the unchanging reality beneath the surface of our constant mental commentary. Suchness is not about passive resignation. It is the profound, peaceful acceptance of things exactly as they are in this very moment, without adding the weight of judgment or the pull of desire. It is seeing the leaf on the water not as a leaf that should be elsewhere, but simply as a leaf resting where it is. It is feeling the warmth of the sun on your skin without wishing it were cooler, or noticing the sound of traffic without wanting it to stop. It is releasing the invisible grip we often hold on how things ought to be. In the Zen garden, a stone sits precisely where it was placed by the gardener. It does not complain about its position, nor does it try to move itself. It simply is, a part of the whole. The gardener tends to the garden with this awareness, seeing each rock, each blade of grass, each patch of sand not as something to be fixed or changed, but as they naturally present themselves. This is not indifference. It is deep respect for the inherent nature of things. When we practice Suchness, we begin by simply noticing, right now. Pause and gently ask yourself, what small thing am I resisting in this moment? Is it the slight discomfort in your shoulder as you sit? The sound of a distant car? A thought that keeps returning? Notice it without labeling it bad or annoying. Just observe the sensation, the sound, the thought as it is. Then, take one slow, deep breath. Feel the air entering your body, filling you with calm. Breathe into that resistance, not to push it away, but to acknowledge its presence without fighting it. Feel the breath soften the edges of that tightness. This simple act of breathing into what is, rather than against it, is the first step of embracing Suchness. Reflect on this. How does it feel to simply notice that small resistance without adding a story about why it should be different? When you stop wrestling with the moment and allow it to simply be, what shifts within you? Often, we carry a hidden burden of expectation, a subtle belief that the present moment is lacking. Acceptance doesn't mean we stop wishing for change in the future. It means we release the struggle right now. It changes your relationship with the moment from one of conflict to one of peace. You are no longer against the present. You are simply present within it. The sound of the car becomes part of the background hum of life. not an interruption. The shoulder ache becomes a sensation to be felt, not a problem to be solved immediately. This quiet shift, this simple act of letting be, is where true calm begins to arise, not as a distant goal, but as the natural state of mind when we stop pushing against reality. This acceptance of reality as it is, without adding our own commentary, forms the bedrock for observing our thoughts without judgment. When we stop resisting the present moment, we naturally begin to see our thoughts and feelings with greater clarity, noticing them arise and pass like clouds in a clear sky, without needing to hold on to them or push them away. Close your eyes for a moment. Feel the gentle rise and fall of your chest, the soft touch of air at your nostrils, the quiet rhythm of your breath. This simple movement, always here, always available, is your anchor. It does not demand anything of you. It simply is. Suchness is not a distant state to reach. It is the very ground of your being, already present in this breath, this moment, this body. It is the quiet acceptance of things exactly as they are, without the need to change or judge them. When you rest in this natural awareness, the constant chatter about past regrets or future worries dissolves like mist in the morning sun. You're not trying to be calm. You are simply noticing the calm that is already here, beneath the surface of thought. This is the foundation. No effort, just presence. Let us practice this for a short while. Sit comfortably, hands resting gently. Bring your attention to your natural breath. Do not try to make it deeper or slower. Simply follow it, noticing the coolness as you inhale, the warmth as you exhale, the subtle movement in your belly or chest. Feel the space between breaths, the quiet pause. This is not about emptying your mind. It is about noticing what is already here. For about 90 seconds, just a minute, stay with this simple sensation. If your mind wanders to a worry or a memory, gently return to the feeling of the breath as you would return to a familiar path. There is no need to force it. The breath is your anchor, and it is always steady. This is the practice of suchness, meeting life exactly as it presents itself, without adding anything. Imagine standing at the kitchen sink, washing your hands. The water runs, clear and cool. You might be thinking about the meeting later, or worrying about something that happened yesterday. But what if you truly felt the water on your skin, heard the steady drip of the faucet, noticed the warmth of your own hands? In that moment, the worry fades. The washing becomes the only thing. This is suchness in action. It is not special. It is simply seeing the water as water, the sound as sound, without the filter of distraction. The mind is not emptying. It is simply resting in the fullness of the present moment. Now, as you return to your breath, Notice where you feel tension when you're not fully present. Is it in your shoulders, holding the weight of tomorrow? Is it in your jaw, clenched around a memory? Is it a tightness in your chest? A subtle resistance to what is happening right now? This tension is a gentle signal. It shows you where your mind has drifted away from suchness, where you are holding on to the past or the future. When you notice this, do not judge yourself. Simply observe it with the same gentle curiosity you bring to your breath. Feel the softness of your breath beneath the tension. The tension is not the enemy. It is simply a signpost pointing back to the present moment. As we deepen presence through this simple breath, we naturally begin to see reality without filters. The world reveals itself not as a story we tell, but as it truly is: the sound of wind, the texture of air, the quiet pulse of life. This is the wisdom of suchness. It is not found by looking away, but by turning toward what is already here, in the space of this breath. As you breathe in, feel the quiet certainty of this moment. As you breathe out, release the need to hold anything else. The path to calm mind is not ahead of you. It is right here, in the next breath, in the next moment, exactly as it is. This is how we begin to truly see. Begin by settling into the stillness we've been cultivating together. Feel the gentle rhythm of your breath, the natural anchor that has brought us to this moment. Now, let us turn our attention to the world around us, not with the mind that seeks to change or judge, but simply to see. Suchness, the core of our practice, asks us to look at reality exactly as it presents itself, without the heavy cloak of our own thoughts. We often walk through life wearing glasses tinted with good and bad, beautiful and ugly, useful and worthless. These labels are not the object itself, but filters we impose, distorting the true nature of what we encounter. A simple cup on the table, for instance, becomes more than a vessel when our mind immediately declares it old or chipped or too plain. This judgment pulls us away from the cup as it truly is, into a story about the cup, a story we create. Let us practice this now, gently. Take a moment to look at a common object nearby: a cup, a leaf, a patch of light on the wall. Simply observe it. Notice its color, its shape, its texture, the way light touches its surface. Do not name it cup or think it's broken. Do not decide if it's nice or not nice. Let the mind rest without the need to label or judge. Feel the coolness of the material, the curve of the handle, the subtle variations in its form. This is suchness, the cup seen without the filter of our thought. What happened when you tried to let go of the label? Did the mind automatically add old or clean or cheap? Did you feel a slight tension when you couldn't say what it was? These automatic labels, good, bad, mine, not mine, are the very filters we are learning to see through. They are the mental habits that keep us restless, always trying to rearrange reality to fit our ideas. Notice how this simple act of seeing without judgment feels different. It is not about forcing calm, but about releasing the effort to control how things appear. The cup remains just a cup, its true nature revealed only when we stop adding our commentary. This quiet observation is not passive, it is the active choice to meet reality as it is, right now. It is the calm that arises when we stop fighting what is and simply rest in what is present. There is no need to fix the cup, to make it better or worse. It is simply here, complete in its own way. When we see things without our mental overlays, we begin to understand that reality is not something we must manage or control. The need to control the experience, whether it is a cup, a thought, or a feeling, starts to soften. We realize that resistance, that constant pushing against what is the source of our inner disturbance. This clarity, this seeing without filters, is the foundation for true peace. It allows us to release the exhausting need to control every detail of our experience. The cup remains. The breath continues, and we are simply here, present within the flow, without the burden of trying to shape it. This is the natural calm of suchness. It is not a distant goal, but the very ground we stand on. When we stop adding our story to the present moment, as we carry this practice into the next moment, we discover that peace is not found by changing the world, but by seeing it clearly as it is. Begin your journey here in the quiet space between breaths, where presence meets the ground of being as it already is. You have already discovered that calm arises not through effort, but by resting gently in the immediate moment, as we explored in the stillness of your breath. Now, let us deepen this knowing through the simple, profound practice of Zazen, sitting meditation. This is not about achieving a special state of calm, but about cultivating stillness by simply being present, without the need to change anything. The mind, like a still pond, naturally reflects reality when we stop stirring it. So, sit with your spine gently upright, as if a thread were lifting the crown of your head towards the sky. Allow your hands to rest softly, your eyes open with a soft gaze downward. Set a timer for just 5 minutes. This is not a test, but a gentle invitation to be exactly where you are. As you sit, notice the thoughts that arise. They are like clouds drifting across the vast, open sky of your awareness. Do not chase them, do not cling to them, and do not try to push them away. Simply observe them passing through your mind, as clouds pass through the sky, without judgment or the need to understand them. The cloud is not the sky. The thought is not your true nature. Your awareness, the spaciousness in which thoughts appear and disappear, is the stillness you seek. This is suchness, the mind resting in its natural state, unaltered by the passing parade of thoughts. In this practice, the most profound shift happens when you stop trying to make the mind quiet. You might find yourself leaning into the effort, straining to silence the inner chatter, tightening your focus, or even feeling frustrated when thoughts persist. This striving is the very thing that creates the disturbance you seek to avoid. When you truly stop trying to control or eliminate thoughts, something remarkable unfolds. The struggle dissolves, the mind, no longer fighting itself, simply settles into its own inherent quiet. It is not that the mind becomes empty, it is that the mind becomes free from the need to be anything other than what it is in this very moment. The calm you seek is not found in the absence of thought, but in the deep, accepting awareness that holds thought without resistance. You realize you were never separate from this calm. It was the ground beneath your feet all along. This is the wisdom of Suchness revealed through practice. It is not about what happens during the 5 minutes, but about the shift in your relationship to the present moment. You are not striving to be calm, you are simply resting in the calm that is already here, beneath the surface of the thinking mind. Feel the weight of your body in the chair, the rhythm of your breath, the soft sound of the room. This is not a place you need to reach. It is the place you have always been, obscured only by the habit of trying to be somewhere else. The stillness is not a destination. It is the very nature of being when the mind stops pushing against reality. So, as you sit, let the words of this moment settle gently within you. Notice the subtle release that occurs when the effort ceases. Feel the quiet that arises not from doing, but from simply being. This non-striving approach naturally leads to releasing attachment to thoughts, for you see them as passing phenomena, not as truths that must be held or discarded. The mind, free from the burden of constant striving, begins to recognize its own inherent peace. This is the foundation of Suchness. Not a concept to grasp, but a reality to rest within, right here, right now. Let this awareness guide you into the next step of your journey. As we settle into the quiet space we cultivated in the previous chapter, notice how the mind naturally rests when we stop pushing thoughts away or chasing after them. Thoughts arise like clouds in the sky, neither ours to own nor to resist. They come and go, part of the ever-changing landscape of awareness. This is the essence of Suchness, the mind simply being as it is, without adding our story to it. When we see thoughts for what they are, temporary phenomena passing through the field of awareness, we no longer need to follow them, to believe them, or to fight against them. The calm we discovered in stillness now deepens into a natural ease with the mind's activity. Consider the ancient Zen story of a monk walking through a bamboo grove. A strong wind stirs the leaves, creating a rustling sound. The monk pauses, listens to the wind and leaves, and then continues walking without a single thought about the noise. He does not cling to the sound, nor does he try to silence it. The wind and leaves are simply what they are, and he moves with them, untroubled. This is the same quality we practice when thoughts arise. A thought about work, a memory, a worry, each is like the wind in the bamboo. We see it, we hear it, but we do not become the wind. We do not chase the rustling sound into the forest. We simply return to the path of our present awareness. To practice this, gently name the arising thought as it happens, not as "this is bad" or "I should not think this," but simply as thinking. When a thought of frustration appears, softly note thinking. When a pleasant memory surfaces, thinking. When a question forms, thinking. This simple act of labeling is not about control. It is about creating a tiny space between the thought and your reaction. It is like placing a single pebble in a stream. It doesn't stop the water, but it shows you the current's path. The thought is still there, but your relationship to it shifts. You are no longer swept away by it. You are the calm river observing the passing leaves. This gentle naming dissolves the illusion that thoughts define your mind or your reality. You begin to see clearly that the thinker is not the thought, but the awareness that holds both. Reflect now on your own experience. When you gently say thinking to a passing thought,
what changes?
Do you feel a slight release in your shoulders? Does the thought lose its urgent grip? Do you notice the space between the thought and your reaction? A space where calm can breathe. This is not about becoming thoughtless. It is about recognizing that thoughts are not the whole story. They are weather patterns in the vast sky of your mind. Labeling them without judgment is not a mental trick. It is a return to your natural state of being, where the mind is free to be as it is, without struggle. Notice how this practice of non-attachment makes it easier to observe thoughts without judgment. You are no longer the one wrestling with the thought. You are the stillness that holds the thought. The mind becomes a clear mirror, reflecting reality as it is, without distortion. This is the path to a truly calm mind, not by forcing thoughts away, but by resting in the knowing that thoughts are simply passing through the unchanging awareness of your true nature. As you carry this practice forward, you will find that the mind's natural calm deepens, not through effort, but through the simple, wise act of seeing thoughts as they are, and letting them be. This is the doorway to a mind that is always at peace, no matter what storms may pass through. As we settle into this moment, notice how the mind naturally drifts like clouds across the sky of awareness. You may have noticed in our last chapter that striving to make the mind quiet only creates more turbulence. True calm arises not by forcing stillness, but by resting gently in the present as it is, observing thoughts as passing phenomena, not as commands or threats. This chapter invites us to deepen that observation. moving beyond simply noticing to seeing thoughts with complete neutrality. Suchness is the heart of this practice, the recognition that thoughts, like raindrops on a window, are neither good nor bad, simply appearing and passing within the spacious awareness that is always here. Judgment is the root of our struggle. The moment we label a thought good and cling to it, or bad and push it away, suffering is born. But when we see thoughts as neutral events, like the wind moving through a field, we step out of the cycle of reactivity. Consider the old Zen story of the monk walking beside a rushing river. A strong current carried a fallen branch toward him. His companion asked, "Why don't you push it away?" The monk replied, "Why should I? It is just a branch moving in the water." He did not call it good for providing wood or bad for blocking the path. He simply observed its movement within the flow. His mind remained undisturbed because he saw the branch as it was, not as a problem to solve or a gift to hold. This is suchness, seeing the branch, the thought, the feeling as it simply is, without adding the weight of our labels. It is not indifference, it is profound clarity. Now, let us practice this gentle shift in your own mind. When a thought arises, perhaps about a past mistake or a future worry, pause for just a breath. Do not chase it. Do not judge it. Simply ask softly, "Is this thought helpful right now?" If the answer is no, gently release the thought, like a leaf floating down the stream. If it is yes, perhaps it offers useful insight. Then engage with it fully. But the key is to stop labeling the thought itself as good or bad before you even ask. Notice how the mind habitually labels, "This is a bad thought, that is a good idea." Feel the subtle tension that arises with that label, the tiny knot of resistance. Now, try releasing the label for just one thought. See if the tension dissolves. What remains is simply the thought, observed without the added burden of judgment. You might notice a quieting, a softening, as the mind stops fighting the thought and simply rests with it. This is not about suppressing thoughts, but about seeing them clearly, without the filter of should or should not. Reflect on a recent moment when a thought caused you distress. What label did your mind place on it? "This is terrible. I should not feel this." Now, imagine encountering that same thought without the label. What shifts within you? Does the tightness in your chest ease? Does the thought lose its power to disturb your calm? This is the profound freedom of suchness, the understanding that thoughts are not who you are. They are merely movements within the vast, clear space of your awareness. They come, they go, and you remain steady, unshaken by their passing forms. This clarity allows us to release mental labels that cause distress. We no longer need to chase pleasant thoughts or flee from unpleasant ones. We simply meet each moment as it arrives, with the open, unclouded mind of Suchness, where calm is not something we make, but the very nature of awareness itself. Notice how thoughts arise like ripples on a still pond, appearing and disappearing without a trace. They are not solid things to hold on to, but passing phenomena within the vastness of awareness. Clinging to them, believing them to be true or important, is what creates the inner storm. We often mistake the passing weather of the mind for the unchanging sky itself. This is the root of suffering, grasping at what is already gone, like trying to clutch a cloud. Imagine sitting beneath a wide-open sky on a clear day. The sky is naturally vast, calm and undisturbed. Now, watch the clouds drift across that sky. They come, they change shape, they move, and they leave. They are not the sky. They are simply the sky's temporary expression. You do not chase the clouds, nor do you try to stop them. You simply see them as they are, part of the sky's natural movement. This is the practice, observing thoughts not as separate events to be judged or followed, but as clouds drifting across the clear, spacious sky of your awareness. They arise within the openness and they dissolve back into it, leaving the sky unchanged. In the ancient monastery garden, a monk sat beneath a great pine tree. A sudden flurry of thoughts about past regrets and future worries arose, sharp and insistent. He did not fight them, nor did he follow their path. Instead, he gently shifted his focus to the space around them, the deep calm within which the thoughts appeared. He noticed the thoughts were like clouds moving across the vast blue sky of his own mind. The sky remained perfectly clear, untouched by the clouds. The thoughts lost their power to disturb because he saw them not as his identity, but as transient visitors passing through the open space of his awareness. He simply watched them drift, and the inner tension dissolved. This simple shift in perspective changes everything. When you see thoughts as clouds, the frantic energy of mental chatter softens. You realize you are not the cloud, but the vast sky that holds it. The urge to label a thought good or bad, mine or not mine, naturally lessens. There is no need to struggle with the weather. You simply rest in the clarity of the sky. The mental noise doesn't vanish, but it loses its sting. It becomes background music to the deep peace of your being, not a command to be obeyed. You begin to experience the mind not as a storm to be endured, but as a clear space where thoughts are simply seen without entanglement. Reflect on this for a moment. The next time a thought arises, try it gently. Don't ask, "Why is this here?" or "How do I stop it?" Instead, see it as a cloud passing through your awareness. Feel the space around it. the quiet openness that is always there, even as the clouds move. Notice how the very act of seeing it as a cloud, rather than a command or a problem, creates a space where calm naturally returns. The mental chatter remains, but your relationship to it shifts. You are no longer caught in the current. You are the calm sea beneath it. This practice of seeing thoughts as clouds is not about forcing the mind to be still. It is about recognizing the stillness that is already present, the clear sky beneath the clouds of thought, as you release the mental labels that bind you to the passing weather. The natural peace of the present moment becomes your most familiar home. The clouds drift on, but the sky remains undisturbed, ready to welcome whatever comes and lets it go. This effortless release of clinging is the very path to finding peace right here, right now. Imagine the gentle shift as you move from observing thoughts as passing clouds to meeting the vibrant energy of emotion itself. Notice how emotions, like sudden rain showers or shifting winds, arise within the spacious awareness you've been cultivating. They are not enemies to be fought or chased away, but natural phenomena, as temporary as the weather. When a wave of strong feeling rises, anger, sadness, or anxiety, remember this fundamental truth. You do not need to act upon it, to be swept away by it. The path to calm is not in suppressing the storm, but in standing steady within the storm's presence. Consider the ancient story of a monk walking through a fierce storm. The wind howled, rain lashed, and thunder shook the mountainside. His companions huddled, tense, resisting the discomfort, their faces tight with effort. The monk, however, simply stood by the temple gate, breathing deeply. He felt the cold rain, heard the thunder, saw the lightning flash, yet his mind remained like still water, reflecting the storm without becoming agitated by it. He did not deny the rain, nor try to force it to stop. He simply observed its energy passing through him, as the sky observes the clouds. The storm passed, leaving the earth refreshed, and the monk walked on with the same quiet ease. This is the essence of releasing emotional reaction. We meet the feeling with awareness, not resistance, allowing it to flow through us without claiming us. Now, practice this gentle inquiry in your own moment. When you feel a strong emotion rise, perhaps a sharp sting of frustration or a wave of sadness, pause. Take one slow breath. Do not judge the feeling as good or bad. Simply acknowledge its presence with a soft, kind attention. Then, softly ask yourself, what is this feeling teaching me? Is it pointing to a need unmet? A boundary that requires care? A deeper truth about your connection to this moment? This question is not about analyzing the emotion, but about inviting its wisdom. It shifts you from being swept by the current to observing it from the shore. What happens when you stop resisting? The tightness in your chest often softens. The urgency to react or fix the feeling fades. You discover a profound space of calm beneath the surface turbulence. You realize the feeling was never the problem. Your resistance to it was the source of added suffering. The emotion, like the storm, simply moves through the vast sky of your awareness, leaving no permanent mark. This practice of non-resistance is not passivity. It is the active, courageous choice to meet life as it is, without adding the burden of struggle. It is the deep trust that the mind, when free from reaction, naturally returns to its own inherent stillness. You stop fighting the rain and discover the beauty of the rain, the freshness it brings. You stop trying to control the wind and find your own center within the movement. This is how suchness, the true nature of things as they are, reveals itself in the very midst of feeling. It is the quiet wisdom that understands emotions, like all phenomena, arise and pass, and that true peace is found not in avoiding the weather, but in being at home within it. This practice of non-resistance prepares us to accept impermanent moments with open hearts. Consider the simple act of breathing as you sit here now. Feel the gentle rise and fall of your chest, the quiet rhythm of your own presence. This is not a moment to be rushed or filled with plans for later. Peace does not dwell in distant horizons or the quiet space between breaths. It is already here, in the very ground of your awareness, when you stop searching and simply arrive. Suchness is the natural state of being, the way things are, without addition or subtraction. It is not a place to reach, but a quality to recognize within the ordinary flow of life. Imagine the monk washing his hands at the stone basin. He does not hurry, nor does he think of the meal to come or the task awaiting him. He feels the cool water flow over his fingers, notices the smooth curve of the basin, hears the soft splash as droplets fall. Each sensation is met with a quiet attention, not as an object to grasp, but as a gentle unfolding. There is no need to make it more beautiful, more important. It simply is. This is suchness in motion. The water is water. The basin is stone. The sound is sound. And in this noticing, without effort, a deep calm settles, not because he achieved something, but because he stopped resisting the present. Now, choose one ordinary moment you will do today. Perhaps it is pouring your morning tea, walking to the mailbox, or even the brief pause before opening a door. As you engage in this routine, let your full attention rest upon it. Feel the warmth of the mug in your hands. Notice the texture of the paper as you move. Hear the sound of your own footsteps. Do not chase thoughts of what comes next. Simply be with the feeling of your hands, the sound of the water, the sight of the light. Where did peace arise? Was it in the cool touch of the glass, the rhythm of your breath as you moved, the quiet space between the thought of the next task and the actual movement. This is not about finding something new. It is about remembering that peace has always been here, in the unremarkable details of being alive. Reflect gently on this. When you brought full attention to your chosen moment, where did you feel a quiet ease? Was it in the sound of the water? The warmth of the sun on your skin? The simple fact that you were simply doing without needing to be elsewhere? This is the gift of Suchness. It reveals that peace is not a distant goal, but the natural ground beneath our feet, always available when we stop looking beyond the moment we are in. The hand-washing monk found no special revelation. He simply saw the water as water, the basin as stone, and his own mind as clear. This is how ordinary moments become sacred, not through grand gestures, but through the simple act of being fully present, without the need to transform them. This presence allows us to see beauty in ordinary things without effort. The morning light on the window, the sound of rain on the roof, the quiet stillness between heartbeats, these are not accidents of life. They are the very fabric of reality, revealed when we stop trying to change the thread and simply notice the weave. The next time you lift a cup of tea, let the warmth be your anchor. Let the steam be your reminder. Let the ordinary become the extraordinary, simply by being seen. Imagine the quiet space within you, already calm and aware, like still water reflecting the sky. This is not something you must create. It is your natural state, always present beneath the surface of thought and feeling. When we stop resisting the way things are right now, when we simply allow the sound of the wind, the feel of the chair beneath us, the rhythm of our breath to be as they are, a deep calm arises naturally. It is not the absence of sound or sensation, but the presence of awareness without the need to change anything. This is Suchness, seeing life exactly as it unfolds, without the heavy burden of expectation. Consider the simple act of washing dishes. You might do it while thinking of the next task or worrying about the past. But what if, for a moment, you truly washed the dishes? Feel the warm water on your hands. Notice the gentle slip of the sponge against the plate. Hear the soft splash as water flows. Feel the cool air on your skin near the sink. There is no need to make the moment better, to hurry it along, or to judge the dishes as messy. You are simply present with the water, the sound, the touch. This is the natural state of mind, fully engaged with what is here. Now, resistance fades as you notice the ordinary details of this ordinary moment, revealing its inherent peace. Practice this gentle return to your senses. Set a quiet reminder every 10 minutes. Pause wherever you are. Notice the sounds around you, perhaps the hum of the refrigerator, distant traffic, or the silence between sounds. Feel the contact of your feet on the floor the air on your skin, the weight of your body. Breathe in. Notice the coolness at the nostrils, the gentle rise of your chest. Breathe out. Feel the release. This is not a chore. It is a gentle homecoming to the awareness that is already yours. After a few moments, return to your work, carrying this quiet attention with you. Reflect on your last pause. What did you notice that you usually miss? Was it the specific quality of the light on the wall? The particular scent of coffee? The subtle shift in your own breathing when you stopped rushing? Often, we miss the quiet symphony of the present moment because we are focused on the next note in the song. This simple practice of pausing and noticing is not about adding something new to your life. It is about uncovering the calm awareness that has always been there, beneath the surface of distraction. It is about releasing the subtle tension of expecting the moment to be different, to be more interesting, to be easier. When you notice the water, the sound, the breath without needing to change them, you release the expectation that they should be something else. You simply meet the present moment as it is, and in that meeting, the mind finds its natural rest. This awareness naturally releases expectations about how things should be. The sound of rain on the roof, the quiet hum of the refrigerator, the gentle rhythm of your own breath. These are not background noise, but the very fabric of your present moment. As we move deeper into this practice of presence, let us turn our full attention to the simple, profound act of listening. True listening happens without planning your response. It is not waiting for your turn to speak, nor is it filtering words through your own opinions or rehearsing your reply. It is simply opening your heart and ears to the sound and the space between the sounds, without needing to fill it. In the next conversation, whether with a friend, a colleague, or a child, practice listening to understand, not to reply. Notice how your mind might dart ahead, crafting a thoughtful answer before the other person has even finished speaking. Gently, without judgment, return to the sound of their voice, the shift in their tone, the meaning beneath the words. This is the essence of suchness in action, the pure, unadulterated experience of hearing, right here, right now. Imagine a simple moment, a neighbor sharing a small worry as you both stand at the garden gate. You hear the slight tremor in their voice, the way they pause before speaking. Your natural impulse might be to offer advice, to share your own similar experience, or to quickly move the conversation toward a solution. But in this practice, you simply listen. You do not prepare a response. You do not judge their worry as too small or too much. You hear the words, feel the emotion, and allow the space to be as it is. The neighbor may pause, look up, and say softly, "Thank you for hearing me." That moment of being truly heard without agenda, without correction, creates a connection deeper than any words could build. It dissolves the invisible walls we often erect between ourselves and others. Reflect on this. How does listening without judgment change your connection with others? When you stop hearing only to reply, you begin to hear the person themselves, their heart, their need, their humanity. You notice the hesitation in their voice, the flicker of hope in their eyes, the unspoken weight they carry. This shifts the conversation from a transaction of words to a shared space of presence. You may find yourself feeling lighter, less burdened by the need to fix or explain. Others may feel seen, valued, and more willing to open up in return. This is not about being perfect. It is about noticing the small moments when your attention is truly there, without the filter of your own thoughts. It is the quiet revolution of showing up fully, right where you are, with no need to be anywhere else. In these ordinary exchanges, we discover that calm mind is not a distant state to be achieved, but the natural clarity that arises when we stop resisting the simple reality of now. The sound of rain continues. The breath flows gently, and the other person speaks. There is no need to rush to the next moment, to plan the next word. This openness to the present moment, this willingness to simply hear, helps us release future anxieties. When we are fully present in the listening, the worries about what might be said tomorrow or how a conversation might end simply fall away. They cannot hold you when you're already here, listening deeply in the quiet space of suchness. As you settle into this quiet moment, notice how the calm you discovered in listening to the rain on the roof or the neighbor's pause at the gate has deepened. Now, let us gently turn our attention to the ordinary world surrounding you, not as a place to escape from, but as a doorway to profound peace. Suchness, the true nature of things as they are, holds beauty not in grand gestures, but in the quiet simplicity of the present moment. Beauty exists in the leaf's veins, in the steam rising from your morning cup, in the way light falls on a wall, all without needing your added meaning, your story, or your desire for it to be different. This is not about finding something new. It is about seeing what is already here, unveiled by the absence of judgment. Consider a single raindrop clinging to a leaf outside your window. It is just a drop, a momentary shape against the green. You do not need to name it, explain it, or wish it were a different kind of drop. You simply see it as it is, a tiny, perfect sphere of water in the sun. In that seeing, without adding the thought, this is beautiful or this is ordinary, the beauty reveals itself. It is not in the drop itself alone, but in the space between your mind's usual noise and the drop's simple presence. The same is true for your coffee cup. Hold it. Feel its warmth. See the light catch the rim. Notice the pattern of the ceramic. It is not a symbol of comfort. It is just a cup. When you stop seeking the special moment, the moment that feels significant. You discover the extraordinary woven into the fabric of the everyday. The shift is subtle but profound. You stop searching for meaning outside the simple fact of now. The frantic chase for the special moment ceases, and in that stillness, you find the peace that was always here, in the ordinary. This practice is not about changing your experience, but changing your relationship to it. Next time you wash your hands, feel the water's temperature. Watch the droplets fall. See the reflection in the basin. When you stir your coffee, observe the swirl, the steam, the color. Let the object be only what it is, a leaf, a cup, a drop of water, and let the beauty arise naturally from that clear seeing. You may notice a softening, a quieting of the inner critic that labels things as dull or unimportant. The mind, so accustomed to filtering and judging, relaxes into the direct experience. The weight of needing things to be different dissolves, replaced by a gentle acceptance of the moment as it unfolds. This is not passive observation, it is active, open-hearted engagement with the world as it truly is. When you practice seeing without the filter of your expectations, you step into a deeper understanding. You begin to recognize that every moment, whether it feels ordinary or charged, is inherently whole and complete. The beauty of the raindrop, the warmth of the cup, the quiet hum of the house, they all reveal the same truth. Life is perfect as it is, not because it is flawless, but because it simply is. This is the heart of Suchness. And as you rest in this seeing, without adding or subtracting, you naturally begin to accept the impermanence of each moment. The raindrop will fall. The coffee will cool. The light will shift. But in the seeing itself, there is no loss, only the clear perception of what is. This practice of seeing without filters leads to accepting impermanent moments, not as something to resist, but as the very essence of life's gentle flow. In the quiet space we've been cultivating, where rain on the roof holds its own gentle song and the pause at the garden gate speaks volumes, notice how the mind often steps in. It labels the rain as noise or the pause as waiting, stitching stories onto the simple fabric of what is. These labels, failure, success, boring, important, are not the event itself but mental constructs we weave, creating a barrier between us and the raw, unadorned reality of the moment. They distort what is happening, amplifying suffering by separating good from bad, me from not me. The mind, in its effort to control or understand, builds these walls, forgetting that the rain is simply falling. The pause is simply happening. Consider the cup of tea before you. You might think, this is just plain tea, nothing special. Labeling it ordinary, perhaps even dull. But what if you simply notice the steam rising, the warmth in your hands, the slight bitterness on your tongue without adding the word ordinary. The label ordinary fades. Suddenly, the steam becomes a tiny cloud, the warmth a quiet companion, the bitterness a clear note in the moment. The tea is not ordinary anymore. It is simply tea, fully present. This is suchness, the reality as it is, unfiltered by the mind's commentary. The mental label ordinary dissolved, and the moment opened, revealing its inherent simplicity and presence. This is the practice in the quiet hum of daily life. When you notice the mind placing a label, this is a failure, this is a success, this is too slow, pause softly. Do not fight the label, nor cling to it. Simply observe it arise, then gently drop it, like releasing a leaf that has floated to the surface of still water. Let the label fall away and feel what remains. Notice the subtle shift. The event doesn't change, but your experience of it does. The sting of failure softens into the simple feeling of effort. The pressure of success eases into the quiet satisfaction of action. You are no longer trapped within the story the mind tells. You are simply experiencing the moment, clear and uncluttered. Reflect on this. How does dropping the label change your experience of the event? When you release failure, do you feel the tightness in your chest ease? When you let go of success, does the weight of expectation lift? The label was the source of the suffering, not the event itself. The event was always simply an event, neither good nor bad, just as it is. This gentle dropping of labels is not about ignoring reality. It is about seeing reality clearly, without the distortion of the mind's narrative. It is the practice of returning to the simplicity of suchness, where the rain is rain, the pause is pause, and the tea is tea. As we release these labels, we find it easier to accept the impermanent flow of moments without the resistance that comes from clinging to our mental maps. The mind, freed from its constant labeling, settles into a deeper calm, ready to meet each moment as it truly is. Consider the quiet space that follows the gentle dissolution of mental labels we explored in the last chapter. You find yourself simply present, not needing to name or judge the ordinary unfolding of this moment. Now, notice the subtle shift that happens when we hold a mental blueprint for how things should be. That blueprint, that expectation, creates a gap between reality as it is and the version we imagine. It is this gap that generates the subtle but persistent ache of dissatisfaction. We expect the tea to be perfectly hot, the conversation to flow smoothly, the task to feel effortless. When the steam rises unevenly from the cup, when words stumble, when effort feels heavy, the expectation meets reality and the gap widens. This is the root of the tension we carry, a tension born not from the event itself, but from the mental map we insisted must match the terrain. Observe this with kindness, not judgment. Perhaps you notice an expectation like this should be easy as you attempt a new skill, or they should understand me in a conversation, or the weather should be perfect for my walk. These are not flaws, they are natural patterns of the mind, habits of seeking comfort in a predictable world. The practice is simple yet profound. In this very moment, notice one such expectation you hold. Hold it gently, like a leaf floating on water, without trying to force it away. Then, with a soft breath, release it. Let the leaf drift. Do not replace it with another should. Simply allow the mind to rest in the actuality of what is happening right now. What freedom arises when you let go? It is not a loud victory, but a quiet unburdening. The tightness in your shoulders eases. The inner critic softens its voice. You simply experience the tea's warmth, the sound of rain, the effort of the task, without the weight of should. There is a lightness, a spaciousness, a sense of being unencumbered by a self-imposed demand. This is the freedom of suchness, the mind not straining against what is, but resting in the simplicity of what is. It is the freedom to see the steam rising from the cup without needing it to be a certain shape, to hear the rain without wishing it were silence. The mind, released from the burden of expectation, finds its natural calm. This release of control allows us to trust life's natural flow. We arrive now at the gentle art of releasing the invisible grip we hold on life's unfolding moments. This is not about passivity, but about recognizing that the very effort to control what cannot be controlled creates the suffering we experience. Suchness, the way things truly are, flows with perfect naturalness, untouched by our anxious striving. When we cling to the illusion of control, we create a barrier between ourselves and the present moment. We imagine a better outcome, a different pace, a more predictable path. But this mental construct only tightens the knot of tension within us. True calm arises not when we force life to conform, but when we relax into the reality of what is, exactly as it presents itself. Consider the simple act of waiting in line at the grocery store. You stand there, perhaps feeling the familiar tug of impatience, the inner voice urging you to hurry, to make the line move faster, to control the situation. This is the moment to practice. Notice the tightness in your shoulders, the slight frown. Then, with no force, consciously release the need to hurry. Let the thought, "I must be there sooner," simply dissolve. Breathe. Feel the solid ground beneath your feet. Observe the faces around you, the soft hum of the store, the rhythm of your own breath. There is no need to fix the line, no need to change the pace. You are simply here, present within the flow of this ordinary moment. In that release, A quiet space opens, a space where frustration melts into stillness. The line hasn't moved faster, but your inner world has shifted. The burden is lifted. This practice invites reflection. Where in your own life do you hold the need for control so tightly that it becomes a source of constant friction? Is it in how others behave, in the outcome of a project, in the pace of your own life, or perhaps in the belief that you must always be prepared for every possible change? Notice the physical sensation of that grip: tight chest, clenched jaw, restless energy. Now, imagine releasing it, even just for a few breaths. What happens when you let go? Often, we find that the situation remains the same, but our relationship to it changes completely. The fear of the unknown lessens. A sense of spaciousness replaces the anxiety. We discover that life continues smoothly without our constant interference, that others are capable, that the universe holds its own inherent balance. We realize that control was never the path to safety, it was the barrier to peace. This surrender is not weakness. It is the profound strength of aligning with reality as it is. It is the quiet acceptance that the river flows, and trying to hold it back only drowns the one who resists. When we drop the need to control the current, we find ourselves carried with ease. This is the natural progression from releasing expectations and labels. When we no longer demand that life fit our mental maps, we become free to move within its actual terrain. The calm mind that arises from suchness is not passive. It is deeply engaged, responding with clarity and compassion to what is present, without the distortion of fear or desire. This surrender prepares us to accept impermanence without resistance. Imagine sitting quietly, not trying to become quiet, but simply allowing the constant chatter of the mind to settle like dust in still air. This inner quiet is not something we build, it is the natural state of the mind when the noise of thoughts, judgments, and the need to fill every moment subsides. It is revealed, not achieved, when the layers of mental construction we carry so heavily finally soften and fall away. The space between thoughts, the quiet that exists even amidst the busyness of life, is always there, waiting for the mind to stop obscuring it with its own activity. Consider the bamboo forest at dawn. The wind moves through the leaves, creating a soft sound, but between those gentle movements, there is profound stillness. The wind does not strain to create the quiet, it simply ceases, and the quiet emerges. The bamboo does not try to be still, it simply stops moving. Our minds are like that bamboo. When we stop chasing thoughts, stop naming the silence, stop needing to fix or understand the quiet space, that space itself becomes the only reality. It is not empty, it is full of the simple presence of being. This is the practice offered here. Sit in a comfortable position, close your eyes if it feels right, and simply allow your breath to be natural. Set a gentle timer for 3 minutes. Do not try to empty your mind. Simply notice the thoughts that arise, like clouds passing across the sky, and then gently return your attention to the space between them. Notice the quiet that exists even as thoughts come and go. Do not search for anything specific. Simply be aware of the silence that is already present, the space where thoughts appear and disappear. What do you notice when you stop filling the silence? Is it a sense of ease? A deeper breath? A feeling of being held, not by anything external, but by the inherent stillness of your own awareness? Perhaps it is simply the absence of the familiar struggle, the quiet relief of not having to do anything, not having to be anything at all in that moment. This simple practice is not about achieving a special state. It is about recognizing what is already here, beneath the surface of our constant mental activity. It is about releasing the old habit of needing to be busy, needing to think, needing to fill the space. When we stop filling the silence, we discover that the silence itself is full of peace, of spaciousness, of pure awareness. It is the quiet that was always there, waiting for the mind to quiet down enough to see it. This quiet mind, this revealed stillness, is not separate from life. It is the very ground from which life is experienced without resistance. It flows naturally into a deep acceptance, a non-resistance to what is, not as a passive surrender, but as a recognition of the inherent peace that exists when we stop fighting the way things are. This quiet mind meets each moment exactly as it is, without the need to control or change it. And in that meeting, true calm and freedom are found. Imagine the quiet moment when frustration arises, a sudden tightness in your chest as traffic slows or a task feels overwhelming. You might instinctively grip it, wanting it to vanish or to be different. But what if you simply noticed it, like watching a cloud drift across the sky? This is the gentle practice we begin with. All experiences joy that warms your heart, pain that sharpens your focus, the sun breaking through clouds, the sound of rain on the roof are like waves on the ocean's surface. They rise, they peak, they fall away. They are not meant to stay. Clinging to any of them, whether the pleasant or the painful, is like trying to hold on to water in your hands. It only creates more tension, more suffering. The wisdom of Suchness reveals that everything flows. It is not about denying the feeling, but recognizing its nature, temporary, changing, part of the great unfolding. Consider this simple moment. You feel the familiar sting of irritation as someone speaks over you. Instead of immediately reacting or judging yourself for feeling this way, pause. Breathe softly. Feel the sensation in your body, perhaps a slight heat in your face, a tightening in your shoulders. Now, without trying to change it, Simply observe. Notice how it shifts, even subtly. Does the heat lessen slightly? Does the tightness soften as you breathe? The irritation doesn't disappear instantly, but you see its changing nature. It is not fixed. It is a current within the river of your experience, not the river itself. This is not passive observation. It is an active, kind awareness that dissolves the illusion of permanence around the feeling. Reflect on this. How does seeing the impermanent nature of that frustration or any discomfort change your reaction? When you understand that this feeling, like all feelings, is temporary, the urgent need to push it away or make it last vanishes. The tightness in your chest doesn't disappear because you stopped fighting it. It dissolves because you stopped adding another layer of resistance. You meet the feeling with a softness, a quiet curiosity instead of a clenched fist. This doesn't mean you ignore the situation, but it means your inner world isn't locked in a struggle with what is already passing. The discomfort remains, but the suffering, the added layer of resistance, fades. You find space. You realize the feeling is not the whole story, not the truth of you. You are the stillness observing the wave. This quiet understanding of impermanence is the key that unlocks the door to releasing the need to control every moment. It transforms the way you meet life's inevitable shifts. You begin to see that every moment, whether joyful or difficult, is a precious, fleeting gift to be met with presence. Not a problem to be solved or a loss to be mourned. You stop grasping at the good moments as if they could be held forever, and you stop fighting the bad moments as if they could be made permanent. You simply allow them to be as they are, knowing they will change. This is not resignation. It is a profound, deep calm that arises from seeing reality clearly, without distortion. It is the calm mind that flows with the river, not against it. This quiet acceptance of each moment's passing nature makes it easier to let go of past regrets. As the stillness from last chapter settles within, notice how the mind naturally releases its grip when we stop forcing things to be other than they are. This quiet ease flows seamlessly into understanding that regrets are not facts of the past, but mental time travel. They are the mind's persistent replaying of moments that have already dissolved, like ripples on water after the stone has fallen. We hold on to the echo of what was, forgetting that suchness, the true nature of things as they are, only exists in this very breath, this present moment. The past is already gone. The future has not yet arrived. To dwell in either is to live in a story, not in reality. Consider the simple act of pouring tea. Your hand moves with familiarity, the steam rising in soft spirals. But then, a thought arises. I should have spoken differently yesterday. Instantly, your focus shifts from the warmth of the cup, the sound of the kettle, the quiet hum of the room, to the scene you relive in your mind. You are no longer in the kitchen. You are back in that conversation, feeling the sting of words left unspoken. This is the subtle trap. The mind constructs a past experience so vividly that it displaces the actual present. The tea grows cold, unnoticed. The moment slips away, replaced by a mental echo that causes fresh suffering. When this familiar ache of regret surfaces, there is no need to fight it or judge yourself. Instead, gently return to your breath. Feel the soft rise and fall beneath your ribs. Notice the contact of your body with the chair, the subtle sounds around you, the distant hum of life continuing. Anchor yourself in the sensation of the present. This is not about suppressing the thought, but about recognizing it as a passing cloud, not the sky itself. As you return to your breath, you return to suchness. The regret remains, but its power to disturb lessens, for you are no longer lost within it. Reflect on this. What would change if you stopped reliving the past? Not the events themselves, those are already settled, but the way you inhabit your life. Imagine the space that opens up when you no longer carry the weight of yesterday's words or actions. The mind, freed from the burden of mental time travel, becomes lighter, clearer. You might notice the warmth of the tea more deeply, the texture of the cup, the quiet peace of simply being here, now. The world doesn't change, your relationship to it does. You stop seeing life through the lens of what was missed or wrong, and begin to see it as it is, complete, whole, and always available in this moment. This gentle practice of returning to the breath, to the present sensation, is the heart of embracing impermanence. It is how we release the grip of regret, not through force, but through simple, mindful awareness. Releasing past regrets allows us to fully inhabit the present moment. Relationships, like the gentle turning of seasons, are never fixed. They flow, shift, and transform with the quiet rhythm of life itself. We often hold them tightly, hoping for a constant shape, a familiar warmth we can depend on. But when the familiar changes, the way a partner speaks, the distance that grows between friends, the quiet space left when a loved one moves on, we feel the sting of resistance. This resistance, this inner struggle against the natural current, is the true source of suffering. The relationship itself is not the problem. It is our refusal to let it be as it is. When we meet change with a closed heart, we create conflict where there was once harmony. We build walls of expectation, and those walls become the very thing that separates us. Consider a simple moment in a shared space. Two people sit together, perhaps sharing tea. The conversation begins with ease, words flowing like a clear stream. Then, a shift occurs, a subtle change in tone. A pause that feels heavier, a new topic that changes the energy. In that moment, One might feel a sudden tightening in the chest, a pull to say something, to fix it, to make the old feeling return. This is the moment when resistance takes root. But what if, instead, we simply notice the shift without naming it good or bad? We observe the quiet space between words, the way the light falls on the table, the softness in the other person's eyes as they look away. We don't need to change it or stop it. We simply allow the moment to be as it is, right here, right now. This is not passivity. It is a deep, quiet presence that holds space for the truth of what is happening. Like watching clouds drift across the sky, we see the movement without trying to hold them still. This practice of observing relationship dynamics without judgment is a gentle revolution within. It requires no grand effort, only a soft return to awareness. As you breathe quietly now, bring to mind one relationship in your life. Not to fix it, not to analyze it, but simply to notice one small shift happening right now, perhaps a new way of speaking, a different energy in the room, a shared silence that feels different. Watch it unfold like a leaf floating on water. Notice what arises within you, the urge to react, the feeling of comfort or discomfort, and then gently return to your breath. This is the heart of embracing impermanence, seeing the change, feeling the natural response, and then releasing the need to control it. In that release, we find a deeper connection. We are no longer battling the river's current, we are flowing with it. This allows space for true understanding to arise, for patience to grow, for love to meet the reality of the moment without the weight of what was or what might be. Reflect quietly on this. How does it feel to simply allow a relationship to change without resistance? When we stop fighting the natural ebb and flow, we discover a profound ease. We connect not with a fixed idea of the other person, but with the living, breathing reality of them right now. This ease is not passive, it is an active trust in the ever-changing dance of life. It frees us from the exhausting effort of trying to hold on to what cannot be held. And in that freedom, our connections become more authentic, more resilient, more deeply rooted in the present moment. We no longer fear the shift. We welcome it as part of the beautiful, unfolding story we share. This quiet acceptance of change in our relationships is not an end. It is the gentle beginning of trusting life's natural flow, knowing that every moment, like every relationship, is a sacred expression of suchness. Notice how the warmth of your hands against the cool air shifts subtly with each breath. This gentle shift is not an accident, but the natural rhythm of being. All physical sensations, warmth, tension, tingling, pressure are like ripples on water, constantly forming and dissolving. When we hold on to a feeling, trying to make it stay exactly as it is, we create a quiet struggle within. The mind tightens, resisting the inevitable flow. This resistance is the root of suffering, not the sensation itself. The old teacup in the Zen garden holds warmth for a moment, then cools. The monk who clutches it, wishing the heat would linger, feels the discomfort of cold sooner. But the one who simply feels the warmth as it is, noticing its subtle fading, experiences no resistance. The cup cools, yet the mind remains calm, like the still pond reflecting the sky. This is the wisdom of Suchness. Sensations are neither ours to keep nor to lose, but simply what is present now. Practice this gentle noticing for 1 minute. Choose a sensation you feel right now. The gentle pressure of your feet on the floor, the softness of your breath in your chest, the faint warmth on your skin. Bring full attention to it without judgment. Observe its subtle shifts. The minute changes that happen, even as you watch. Does the warmth deepen slightly? Does the pressure shift? Does the tension in your shoulder soften? Do not chase the sensation or try to make it stronger or different. Simply notice its natural movement. What happens when you stop trying to make the sensation stay? The mind releases its grip. The tightness dissolves. A quiet ease flows through you, not because the sensation changed, but because you no longer fought against its change. You are not fighting the cool air or the fading warmth. You are simply experiencing the present moment as it is. This simple act of observing without clinging is a profound release. It is the turning point where we stop creating suffering from the very nature of experience. When we stop trying to hold on to the warmth, we find the peace that was always there, waiting within the flow. This gentle noticing of sensations flow naturally leads to a deeper non-resistance with life's constant movement. It is not about changing what is happening, but about changing how we meet what is happening. The ripple continues, but the water remains calm. The next time you feel tension rise or warmth fade, remember the teacup. Feel the sensation as it is. Notice its quiet shift and release the need to hold it. In that release, you discover a calm mind, not because the world is still, but because you're finally resting within its natural, ever-changing flow. This is the heart of embracing impermanence, finding peace not by stopping the river, but by learning to swim within it with open hands. Imagine the gentle flow of a stream over smooth stones. It does not resist the rocks, yet it moves forward with ease. Now consider your own daily moments, perhaps a delayed bus, a misplaced item, or a sharp word from a colleague. In these small instances, we often feel a familiar tightening within. The jaw clenches, the shoulders rise, the breath shortens. This tension is not the event itself, but our resistance to it. Resistance creates the suffering. Non-resistance is the natural state of a calm mind, a return to suchness, to things as they simply are right now. In the Zen tradition, a simple observation of nature teaches this profound truth. Picture a single leaf floating on a pond. It does not struggle against the water's current. It simply allows the water to carry it. The leaf remains whole, unharmed, moving with the flow. It does not say, "This water is moving too slowly," or "This water is moving too fast." It simply is. When we meet life's minor irritations with this same openness, we touch the essence of non-resistance. The practice is simple. When irritation arises, pause. Take one soft breath. Ask gently, what if I just let it be? Not to ignore it, but to release the inner struggle against it. Feel the difference. Now bring this awareness inward. Close your eyes for a moment. Notice the sensation of resistance in your body when you think of that minor irritation. Where do you feel it? Perhaps in your chest, a tightness like a held breath, or in your jaw, a subtle grinding. Now, soften. Imagine releasing that grip, allowing the tension to melt like ice in warm sunlight. Feel how the muscles in your shoulders relax, how your breath deepens and becomes effortless. This is the physical signature of non-resistance. It feels like a quiet sigh, a letting go of unnecessary weight. It feels like the stream moving freely over the stone, not against it. There is no effort, only presence. This is the calm mind in action, not a distant state, but the immediate experience of allowing life to flow through you. This simple shift, this willingness to let things be as they are in the present moment, transforms our relationship with the world. It dissolves the internal battle that creates so much unnecessary suffering. When we stop fighting the small irritations of the day, we discover a deeper peace that isn't dependent on external circumstances changing. We realize that calm isn't found by forcing things to be different, but by aligning with the natural rhythm of experience itself. This quiet acceptance, this embodied practice of non-resistance, makes it easier to release future anxieties. Imagine the quiet moment before dawn, when the world holds its breath. You notice a familiar tightness in your chest, a subtle hum of worry about what tomorrow might bring. This is not the future itself, but your mind already traveling there, rehearsing scenarios, building walls of what if before the sun has even risen. Anxiety is not a forecast of reality. It is mental time travel. It pulls you away from the only place you truly exist, the present moment. Suchness is not a concept to grasp. It is the simple, warm reality of this very breath, this sound of the wind, this feeling of your body resting. It is the peace found in the space between thoughts. Consider the river flowing past the ancient bridge. It does not resist the rocks, nor does it race ahead to the sea. It simply moves with the slope of the land, responding gently to each stone, each bend. It does not worry about the ocean's vastness, it simply flows. This is the natural rhythm of life. When we cling to future worries, we become like the traveler standing rigid on the riverbank, shouting at the water to move faster or slower, instead of feeling the current beneath their feet. We create suffering by fighting the very flow we are part of. So when that anxious thought of what if arises, gently place a hand on your heart. Feel the steady rise and fall. Breathe in the cool air. Notice the texture of your chair beneath you. Hear the distant bird call. Let your awareness anchor itself in these simple, present sensations. This is not avoidance, it is a return to the only place where life is actually happening. The practice is as simple as noticing the breath, the touch, the sound right now. It is a soft return to the ground beneath your feet. Now, pause for a moment. Close your eyes if it feels right. Feel your breath entering, your body resting. Notice the thoughts about tomorrow trying to pull you away. Gently, without judgment, bring your attention back to the breath in your nose, the feeling of your feet on the floor. What happens when you stop pre-living those worries? The tightness in your chest might soften. The hum of anxiety may fade into the quiet hum of your own breathing. The future remains unknown, but the weight of it is lifted. You find yourself simply here, with the quiet warmth of the present moment. The space that was filled with fear now holds a gentle spaciousness. You are not fighting the river, you are simply flowing with it. This release, this soft return to the present, is not passive. It is the active, peaceful alignment with the natural current of life. It dissolves the internal battle that fuels future anxieties. When you stop pre-living the future, you discover that the present moment is already whole, already sufficient. The calm mind is not found in a distant future, but in the quiet, steady rhythm of now. This release of anxiety allows us to flow with life's natural rhythm. We find ourselves often caught in the quiet storm of inner resistance. A work deadline looms. A relationship feels strained. Or a simple errand becomes frustrating. In that moment, we may feel the familiar tightness of struggle, the sense that things should be different, that we should be elsewhere, or that life is working against us. This tension, this inner battle, is not the circumstance itself, but our refusal to meet it as it is. Suchness invites us to simply notice the circumstance without the added weight of "it shouldn't be this way." It is not passive resignation. It is the profound recognition that fighting reality only creates more suffering. The river does not rage against the rock, it flows around it, finding its path without force. This is suchness. Consider a gentle stream flowing over smooth stones. The water doesn't fight the stones, It meets them with its very nature, adjusting its course effortlessly. It simply is, and in that being, it moves forward. It does not waste energy on anger at the stone, nor does it try to force the stone out of its way. It simply flows with the conditions presented. This is the natural rhythm of the stream. When we meet our own circumstances with this same gentle awareness, we stop expending energy on the impossible task of changing what is already here. We stop creating a second layer of suffering on top of the first. So, when you feel that familiar tug of struggle arise, perhaps with a difficult conversation, an unexpected delay, or a personal limitation, pause. Notice the physical sensation of the resistance in your body. Then, gently ask yourself, not with judgment, but with open curiosity, what is this teaching me right now? Not how can I make this stop, but what is this situation revealing? This moment offering as it truly is? Is it teaching patience? Or perhaps the need for clearer communication? Maybe it reveals an area where we are holding on to an outdated expectation. The challenge itself becomes the teacher, not the enemy. Meeting the circumstance as it is, without the armor of resistance, transforms the experience. The tightness in your chest may soften. The mental chatter about how unfair it is may quiet. You might notice a subtle shift in your posture, a deeper breath, a sense of space where there was only pressure. The challenge remains, but the struggle dissolves. You are no longer fighting the river, you are learning to swim within its current. This shift, this simple act of meeting life as it presents itself, is the very essence of non-resistance. It is not about giving up, it is about releasing the exhausting effort of trying to control the uncontrollable. It is trusting that by aligning with the natural flow of the present moment, even in its difficulty, we are already moving forward, guided by the wisdom inherent in the circumstances themselves. The resistance we carry is the only true obstacle. Letting it go, moment by moment, is how we cultivate that deep, unshakable calm. This surrender supports trusting life's natural flow without forcing outcomes. Feel the weight of your body meeting the chair, the gentle rise and fall of your breath. This moment, exactly as it is, holds all the peace you seek. Acceptance here isn't about agreeing with everything or approving of what is. It is simply seeing the truth of your experience without adding layers of judgment or resistance. It is the quiet space where reality appears as it truly is, not as we wish it to be. When we stop distorting the present with our mental commentary, a deep calm begins to settle within. Consider the simple act of pouring tea. You might notice the steam rising, the sound of water hitting the cup, the warmth in your hands. But often, our mind interrupts. This tea is too hot. It should be stronger. I shouldn't be waiting. These thoughts create a subtle friction, a tiny struggle against the actual sensation of the moment. Now, imagine instead pouring your attention fully into the experience itself. See the steam not as too hot, but as steam rising. Hear the sound not as annoying, but as water hitting ceramic. Feel the warmth not as uncomfortable, but as warmth in my palms. This is acceptance, observing the light as it is, the sound as it is, the sensation as it is, without the added weight of should. Practice this gently right now. Look around your space. Notice one thing without adding a single word of judgment or expectation. Say it softly to yourself. The light from the lamp is warm yellow. Not the light is too yellow. Not the light should be brighter. Just the light is warm yellow. Or the fabric of my shirt feels soft against my skin. Or the bird outside is singing a high note. Name the simple, unvarnished reality of what you perceive. This small act of precise observation is a direct path to peace. It releases the mental energy spent arguing with the present. Reflect on what shifts when you stop adding should to your experience. When you say the light is yellow instead of the light should be white, you no longer create a gap between what is and what you think it should be. That gap is where anxiety lives. Without that gap, the mind finds rest. You might notice your shoulders soften, the tightness in your chest ease, the constant internal commentary slow down. The world doesn't change, but your relationship to it does. You are no longer fighting the river, you are simply feeling its current. The struggle dissolves not because circumstances shift, but because you stop resisting the way they already are. This quiet observation, this gentle naming of reality as it presents itself, is the foundation. It is not passive resignation, it is active, clear-eyed presence. It is the very ground where stillness is found, not in some distant future, but right here in the ordinary texture of your next breath, your next step, your next sip of tea. This acceptance prepares us to find stillness not by escaping the flow of life, but by moving with it, fully present within each unfolding moment. The path to calm is not found by forcing life to be different, but by seeing it as it truly is and resting within that seeing. This quiet observation is the gentle step that leads us to the next moment of effortless peace. As we move through the day, carrying the gentle acceptance we discovered in the last chapter, a new understanding deepens within us. We begin to see that stillness is not separate from action. It is the very ground from which all movement arises. This is the wisdom of Suchness, the natural harmony where the world flows without resistance. In the quiet center of every activity, like the calm eye of a storm, there is a profound peace waiting to be recognized. It is not about stopping movement, but recognizing the stillness that exists within it, just as nature itself demonstrates. Observe a tree standing in the wind. The branches sway, the leaves dance in the breeze, yet the tree's core remains rooted, steady and present. Its stillness is not the absence of motion, but the deep, unshaken presence beneath the surface. The water in a stream moves swiftly over stones, yet the water itself is always calm at its source, reflecting the sky without disturbance. This is suchness in action, movement without loss of inner quiet. Nature does not strive to be still, it simply is, and in that being, stillness is inherent. We see this not as a distant ideal, but as the natural state of all things, including ourselves. This is the practice we invite you to try now. Find a quiet spot where you can observe a natural element for just 2 minutes. It could be a single tree outside your window, a droplet of water in a cup, a leaf falling slowly to the ground, or even the gentle rise and fall of your own breath as you sit. Set aside your thoughts of the next task or the past moment. Simply be present with this element. Notice how it moves, how it exists, how it holds its own quiet presence within the flow of life. Does the tree lean but not break? Does the water flow without clinging to the stones? Feel the quiet strength in its simple existence. Let your awareness rest there, without judgment, without the need to change anything. This is not about achieving calm. It is about recognizing the calm that has always been there, like the deep stillness at the heart of a river. As you sit with this observation, let the question arise softly. How does this quiet presence within movement mirror your own capacity for calm? When the wind stirs the tree does not become anxious about the wind. It simply adapts, remains rooted. In your own life, when tasks demand your attention, can you feel that same deep-rooted stillness within the activity? Not a forced calm, but the natural peace of being fully present, like the water flowing without resistance. This is not a separate state to be attained. It is the recognition of what is already true. The tree does not practice stillness. It simply is still within its movement. You, too, can rest in this knowing. This simple practice of observing nature's quiet presence reveals a profound truth. The stillness we seek is not hidden away in quiet rooms or distant mountains. It is woven into the fabric of every moment, every action, every breath. When we stop fighting the flow of life and instead rest in its natural rhythm, we find that calm is not something we create, but something we remember. The wind moves the leaves, the water flows, and within it all, there is a perfect harmony. This connection to nature's wisdom supports us in finding that same stillness within our daily activities, no matter how busy the world may seem. It is the natural path of suchness, where every step, every gesture, becomes an expression of calm awareness. As we move forward, we carry this understanding with us, knowing that stillness is not absent in action, but always present within it. In the quiet space between breaths, you might notice how stillness already lives within the movement of your hands as you reach for the teacup. This is the natural flow we explored in the previous chapter, where stillness was not a separate state, but the very ground of action itself. Now, we move deeper into the heart of this understanding, discovering that simplicity is not an absence, but the essence of suchness, the way things truly are, unadulterated by our thoughts. When we add layers of worry, judgment, or distraction to a simple act, we create mental clutter that obscures the clarity of the present moment. Suchness reveals itself only when we let go of the unnecessary. Consider the ordinary act of making tea. It requires no grand effort, only attention. Feel the cool weight of the teapot in your hands. Hear the gentle hiss as water meets the kettle. Watch the steam curl upwards, a silent dance of energy. As you pour the water, notice the precise moment it touches the leaves, the way they unfurl in the hot liquid. Smell the earthy aroma rising. Feel the warmth of the cup in your palms. Each step is a complete act, not a step towards something else. There is no need to think about the next step, or whether the tea is perfect, or what you must do after. You are simply here, with the water, the leaves, the cup, and the quiet space between your thoughts. This is the practice of simplicity in daily actions. It is not about doing less, but about doing what is before you with full presence. When you choose one task, like making tea, and give it your complete attention, the mental noise that usually accompanies it, the planning, the comparing, the self-criticism begins to soften and fade. The constant chatter of "I should be doing something else" or "this isn't enough" dissolves into the simple awareness of the steam, the sound, the warmth. What disappears is not the task, but the burden of meaning we place upon it. The mind, freed from the weight of complexity, settles into a natural calm. It is not that the thoughts vanish completely, but that they lose their power to pull you away from the immediacy of the action itself. The mind becomes still not by forcing silence, but by finding rest in the simplicity of the single act. Reflect now on your own daily task. Perhaps it is washing the dishes, walking to the mailbox, or even breathing. When you do it with this kind of full attention, what mental noise fades away? Is it the worry about the future? The replay of a past conversation? The feeling of being rushed? Notice how the space left behind is not empty, but filled with the quiet clarity of suchness. It is the space where peace is not something you seek, but simply what remains when the unnecessary is let go. This simplicity is not a technique to master, but a natural unfolding when we stop resisting the way things are. It is the wisdom that the tea leaves, the water, the cup, all are already perfect in their simplicity, requiring no adjustment. And so, as you move through your day, carrying this awareness, you discover that stillness is not something you find between actions, but the very texture of the action itself. You are not moving towards calm. Calm is the ground from which you move. The simplicity of making tea, of walking, of simply being, becomes the path. It allows you to move mindfully through daily life, not by adding more mindfulness, but by removing the layers of distraction that obscure the inherent calm already present. This is the seamless integration of stillness and action, where every movement, every task, becomes a gentle expression of suchness. Consider the sound of hurried footsteps on pavement, the constant rush that shapes our days. We move through tasks as if time itself is a current we must fight against. Yet the stillness we seek is not found by stopping the river, but by learning to swim within its flow. This is the essence of mindful movement, not pausing action, but dissolving the separation between the movement and the awareness that observes it. Every step, every lift, every turn of the wrist holds the potential for meditation, if we meet it with gentle, unwavering attention. Picture a simple scene: a monk carrying a heavy clay jar of water from the well to the monastery kitchen. He walks not with speed, but with a quiet, grounded presence. He feels the weight of the jar pressing against his shoulder, the slight shift of balance with each step. He hears the soft scrape of the jar's base against his palm, the rhythm of his breath matching the cadence of his feet. He is not doing the walking while thinking of the next task. He is the walking itself. The weight, the breath, the sound. The jar is not merely carried, it is experienced fully, in the very moment of its carrying. This is not about perfect posture or extraordinary effort. It is about the simple, profound act of being completely present within the ordinary action. The water is carried, and the monk is carried by the act of carrying. Stillness is not absent, it is the very texture of the movement, felt in the space between one step and the next. Now, try this for just 2 minutes. Find a quiet spot. Stand still for a moment, feeling your feet connect with the earth. Begin to walk slowly, as if the path is made of glass. Feel the lift of your heel, the roll of your foot, the gentle placement of your toes. Notice the subtle shift in your weight, the slight relaxation of your shoulders as you move. Do not think about where you are going. Simply feel the sensation of moving through space. When your mind wanders to the next thing, gently return to the feeling of your feet touching the ground, the air on your skin. This is not a performance. It is an invitation to remember that you are already here, now, in the movement itself. The 2 minutes become a small island of presence in the sea of rushing thoughts. Reflect on this practice. How does it shift your experience of time? When you walk slowly, feeling each step, does the urgency of getting there begin to soften? Does the minute feel longer, richer, more alive? not because time has stretched, but because your awareness has deepened. You are no longer battling against the minutes, you are fully inhabiting them. The ordinary act of walking transforms from a means to an end into a moment of simple, unbroken being. The weight of the cup you carry, the turning of a key in a lock, the gentle sway of your body as you reach for a book, these become not just tasks, but intimate encounters with the present moment. The separation between me doing and the action dissolves, leaving only the clear, calm awareness of the action itself. This quiet attention to movement, this recognition of stillness within the very flow of action, naturally opens the door to seeing the extraordinary beauty hidden within the ordinary. The way light falls on a steaming cup, the intricate pattern of a leaf, the simple grace of a hand moving, these become luminous, not because they change, but because your awareness has changed. And as this awareness deepens, you begin to see that the beauty was always there, waiting only for the calm mind to notice. Consider the common belief that stillness requires stopping all motion, that peace must come only when we sit perfectly still. This is a gentle misunderstanding. True stillness does not mean the absence of activity. It is the calm awareness that exists within the very fabric of movement itself. It is the quiet ground beneath the busyness of your hands as you prepare tea, the steady presence within the rhythm of your breath while walking, the deep calm that holds your attention as you carry a simple object. This is the stillness we seek within activity, not as a separate state to be achieved, but as the natural texture of mindful engagement. Imagine the ancient monk polishing rice grains. His hands move with practiced ease, the grains falling and catching in the bowl. He is not thinking of the next task, nor judging the speed of his motion. His awareness is fully present in the simple act, the feel of the grain, the sound of the bowl, the gentle rhythm of his hands. In that moment, there is no separation between the polishing and the stillness. The stillness is not outside the action. It is the calm awareness flowing through the action itself. His mind is not empty, yet it is undisturbed by the thought of the next thing. He simply is fully engaged, fully present. This is the stillness we find within the activity. Practice this in your own life. Next time you're washing dishes, feel the water's temperature. Notice the sound of the suds. Observe the quiet space between each thought as you focus on the task. When you walk, feel the contact of your feet with the earth, the gentle shift of your body, the calm space that exists even as your mind moves. When you carry a cup of tea, notice the stillness between the thoughts that arise as you move from one place to another. This is not about stopping your thoughts or forcing calm. It is about noticing the quiet awareness that remains present even as thoughts come and go. It is the calm space within the activity, not a space apart from it. Reflect on this. Where do you find this stillness when you are most active? Perhaps it is in the focused rhythm of your breath while cycling, or in the deep concentration of listening to a friend without planning your next word. Maybe it is the quiet certainty of your hands as you type, the calm center holding you as the day's demands swirl around you. It is not a place you go, it is the awareness that is already here, within the movement itself. This quiet recognition dissolves the illusion that you must stop to be calm, revealing that calm is the very nature of presence within action. It is the ground that supports all movement without being disturbed by it. This integration of stillness within activity transforms how we live. It supports living without self-judgment, because when we are fully present in the task, we are no longer caught in the critical voice that judges our actions or our pace. We simply engage with the calm awareness that is the essence of the moment. The mind that is calm within the action is the mind that no longer needs to judge itself for being active or moving. It is simply present, deeply rooted in the quiet stillness of suchness, right here, right now, in the middle of the doing. We arrive now at a gentle threshold within the practice of mindful presence. In the stillness we discovered within movement, a new clarity emerges. We see how often we add another layer of tension to our experience, not just the moment itself, but the harsh judgment we place upon it. This self-criticism, this inner voice that says you should be different, that you must do better, is not reality. It is a mental filter, a distortion we impose upon the simple truth of what is happening right now. It separates us from the calm awareness we cultivated in the previous chapter, turning a natural occurrence into a personal failure. Consider a simple moment. You're making tea, your hands steady, the water rising. A drop spills onto the counter. Without self-judgment, you simply see the spill. You notice the water, the moment of distraction, and perhaps a gentle sigh. You clean it up without adding a story of inadequacy. But with self-judgment, the spill becomes, I'm clumsy. I can't even do this simple thing. And the moment of water transforms into a wave of shame that drowns the present action. The spill itself is neutral. The suffering comes from the judgment we heap upon it. This is the practice we offer here. When you notice that inner critic rising, the sharp words about a mistake, a perceived flaw, a moment of weakness, pause. Do not fight it. Do not follow its story. Instead, gently replace it with the simple, true observation. This is a moment of suffering, not I am suffering, but this is a moment of suffering. It is a recognition of the human condition, not a condemnation of yourself. The suffering is real, the sting of the mistake, the discomfort of feeling inadequate, but it is not your fault, nor is it your entire being. It is simply a moment passing through you, like the steam from the teapot. Now, reflect gently on this shift. How does it change your experience when you say this is a moment of suffering instead of "I'm a failure"? Does the tightness in your chest ease a little? Does the sharpness of the criticism soften into a more open, warmer awareness? When you meet the moment with this simple acknowledgement, you stop fighting reality. You stop adding the second layer of resistance. You simply allow the suffering to be present, without making it a battle against yourself. This is the deep release. It is not about ignoring the mistake, but about not adding the poison of self-hatred to it. You can still learn from the spill, but now you learn with kindness, not with a whip. The mistake becomes a clear point of learning, not a deep wound to carry. This practice of recognizing suffering without judgment transforms how we move through life. It dissolves the inner conflict that arises from constantly measuring ourselves against an impossible standard. The calm mind, the one we found within movement, is no longer a fragile state to be protected, but the natural ground of being. It is the space where we can simply be, with all our moments of clarity and moments of spill. This release of self-judgment allows us to trust life's natural flow. In the gentle rhythm of your breath, notice how stillness flows through activity just as naturally as water through a stream. This calm awareness, cultivated in the previous chapter, dissolves the need for judgment in daily life. Now, let us gently turn our attention inward to release the habit of self-criticism, for it is not a reflection of truth, but a familiar, often unconscious pattern that creates inner conflict. Suchness invites us to see thoughts not as personal failures, but as neutral events, like clouds passing through the vast sky of awareness. Criticism arises,
Yes.
but it is merely a thought, not a command or a verdict. When we recognize this, we step out of the struggle. Imagine sitting beneath a wide open sky on a clear day. A cloud drifts across the blue, perhaps dark and heavy. It may seem to obscure the sun, casting a shadow for a moment. Yet, the sky itself remains unchanged, untouched by the cloud's passage. The cloud forms, moves, and dissolves without the sky needing to resist or condemn it. It simply is. Our thoughts, including self-critical ones, are like that cloud. They arise within the spacious awareness of the mind. They have no inherent power to define us, and they will pass. The key is not to chase the cloud away or to dwell on its shape, but to notice its presence with the same quiet acceptance as the sky holds the cloud. There is no need to engage, to argue, or to try to make it disappear. It is simply here, and then it is gone. So, when that familiar inner voice begins its critical commentary, perhaps whispering you are not good enough, not doing enough, pause gently. Notice the thought arise. There is criticism again. Do not label it bad or try to push it away. Simply observe it as you would notice the cloud passing overhead. Say to yourself softly, "This is a thought about criticism," or this is a moment of self-judgment. Then, without adding another layer of judgment about the judgment itself, gently return your attention to the feeling of your breath, or the sound of the wind, or the simple sensation of being present. This is not about ignoring the thought, but about not letting it pull you into a battle with yourself. It is about recognizing the neutral event of the thought and allowing it to flow through awareness without attaching to it. Reflect for a moment. What happens when you stop fighting your own thoughts? When you cease the exhausting effort to suppress or correct the inner critic, what space opens within? You may notice a subtle softening in your shoulders, a slight ease in your chest. The tightness of resistance begins to melt. The constant internal dialogue that has been a source of tension simply loses its grip because it is no longer being fed with your energy of resistance. You are not changing the thought. You are changing your relationship to it. You are returning to the ground of calm awareness that was always present, beneath the storm of commentary. You realize you are not your thoughts. You are the spacious awareness that holds them, without needing to be defined by them. The inner conflict dissolves not through force, but through this simple, profound release. This practice of noticing self-critical thoughts with suchness, without engagement, cultivates a deep wellspring of self-compassion. It is not a new thing you create. It is the natural unfolding of recognizing your own inherent worth, free from the burden of self-judgment. And as this self-compassion grows, it deepens the inner quiet, making it more than a momentary calm, but a steady, unwavering presence that allows life to flow through you with greater ease and trust. This is the quiet strength that comes from releasing the fight with yourself. Imagine the quiet space between your breaths, where the constant chatter of self-judgment finally settles. In this stillness, you might notice something profound. Self-compassion isn't something we must build or earn. It is simply the natural state of our being when we release the tight grip of criticism. When we stop labeling ourselves as flawed or failing, the warmth that was always there beneath the harsh words begins to surface. It's not about changing who we are, but about remembering who we already are, whole, worthy, and deserving of kindness exactly as we are in this moment. Consider the falling leaf in the autumn breeze. It doesn't pause to judge itself for being brown or thin. It simply falls, carried by the wind, meeting the earth without resistance or regret. There is no thought, I am not enough to stay on the branch, only the quiet acceptance of its natural course. This is the essence of suchness, the way things simply are. We, too, are part of this natural flow. Our feelings, our thoughts, our perceived shortcomings, they are all part of the unfolding of life, not evidence of our unworthiness. When we see our own moments of struggle with this same non-judgmental clarity, we step into our inherent self-compassion. To gently invite this feeling into your heart, try this simple practice. Place your hand softly over your heart. feeling the steady rhythm beneath your palm. Feel the warmth of your own touch. Now, softly whisper to yourself, "May I be kind to myself right now." Let the words settle like a gentle rain, not as an instruction, but as a recognition of what is already true within you. Notice the subtle shift. Does it feel lighter? Does it hold a quiet strength rather than the tightness of criticism? How does self-compassion feel different from self-criticism? When you are harsh with yourself, your body might feel tense, your breath shallow, your chest tight with the weight of blame. But when you offer kindness, even in this small moment, there is a softening. Your shoulders may lower, your breath may deepen, and a quiet space opens within, space for peace to breathe. This isn't about feeling perfect, it's about feeling present and held, exactly as you are in this breath. This gentle practice, this simple act of placing a hand on the heart and offering kindness, is not a distant ideal. It is the very ground of our calm mind. It dissolves the inner conflict that arises when we stand in judgment of ourselves, replacing it with a deep, quiet trust in the natural flow of being. The moment we stop seeing our humanity as a flaw to be fixed, we step into the spaciousness where true peace resides. And in this spaciousness, the need for external approval begins to soften. We no longer seek validation from the world because we have already found it within, resting in the simple truth of our own compassionate presence. This is the calm mind, free from inner conflict, ready to meet life with open hands and an unshakable sense of belonging. Close your eyes for a moment and feel the quiet space beneath your awareness. Notice how the air moves gently in and out, a constant rhythm as natural as the earth breathing. This simple movement is already a place of peace, a reminder that calm is not something we must chase or earn. It is already here, within the very fabric of your being. Now, consider the subtle ache that sometimes arises when you find yourself waiting for a nod of approval, a word of praise, or even a glance of understanding from another. This seeking, this quiet craving to be seen and confirmed by the world, creates a current of tension within you. It pulls you away from the quiet certainty of your own presence and into a river of external judgment. Approval seeking creates suffering because it disconnects you from suchness, the way things simply are, right now, without needing to be anything else. Suchness finds peace within itself, unshaken by what others think or say. It is the calm of a deep mountain lake reflecting the sky without needing the sky to reflect back. When you seek validation, you step out of that still water and into a storm of expectation. Imagine a potter at their wheel, hands shaping clay. They do not pause to ask the wind if the form is beautiful or the trees if the curve is right. Their focus is entirely on the feel of the clay, the turn of the wheel, the quiet dialogue between their hands and the earth. They work with suchness, trusting the process and the material as it is. This is the posture of non-seeking. The potter does not seek approval. They simply are fully present with the work. Their calm comes from embodying the task itself, not from the outcome. This is the freedom we can return to. It is not about becoming someone else or achieving a certain image. It is about recognizing that you are already whole, already worthy, simply by being here, breathing, aware. So practice this now. Notice when you find yourself scanning for approval, a slight tension in the shoulders, a quick check of a message, a mental rehearsal of what to say next. Gently acknowledge the thought, there is the seeking. Then, without judgment, return to the feeling of your breath moving through your body. Feel the rise and fall, the steady pulse of life within you. This is your anchor. This is where you belong. It is not a place you have to build, it is the ground you are standing on, always. With each breath, you release the need to be confirmed by the outside world. You step back into the spaciousness of your own being. Reflect now on this. What freedom arises when you stop seeking external validation? Is it the lightness of not carrying another person's opinion like a heavy stone? Is it the quiet joy of discovering your own voice, unshaken by the crowd? Is it the deep peace of knowing that your worth is not tied to a reaction, but is inherent, like the sun shining regardless of where the clouds pass through? This is the freedom of suchness. It is not a destination you reach. It is the ground you stand on when you finally let go of the need to be approved. The inner conflict dissolves not because you become perfect, but because you stop fighting the reality of who you are in this very moment. You are enough exactly as you are, breathing, present, and whole. This release of approval seeking supports trusting life's natural flow. Imagine a river flowing steadily through the mountains. It does not resist the rocks or the bends in its path. It simply moves, adapting, shaping itself without force. This is life's natural rhythm. When we resist the current, when we clutch at fixed outcomes or fight against what is, we create turbulence within ourselves. Our mind becomes agitated, strained, a churning sea where calm cannot arise. Life flows like a river, seamless and natural. Resistance is the only thing that disrupts its grace. This is not about passivity. It is about trusting the inherent wisdom of the unfolding moment. We often believe we must push, plan, and control to create the life we desire. But true ease comes from releasing that grip. Consider a challenge you faced in the past. Perhaps it was a sudden change in your work, a difficult conversation, or a moment of unexpected loss. Now, reflect gently. Did you try to force a particular result? Or did you simply allow yourself to be present with it, without demanding it be different? Notice how growth emerged, not because you controlled the situation, but because you let it unfold. The lesson, the strength, the new perspective, these arrived naturally, carried by the current, not by your striving. They were part of the river's flow, not a destination you had to build. How does this shift change your experience of uncertainty? When you stop fighting the unknown, uncertainty loses its sharp edge. It becomes a space of possibility, not a threat. You feel less like a dam trying to hold back the water, and more like a stone in the stream, shaped by the flow yet still whole. The fear of the next step softens. You breathe more deeply because you are no longer expending energy against the tide. You meet the moment as it is, with openness, not anxiety. This trust does not mean you stop caring or acting. It means your actions arise from a place of calm awareness, not from fear or the need to force a specific outcome. You move with the current, not against it. Take a quiet moment now. Recall a specific time when you were facing difficulty. Not a time you forced a solution, but a time you simply allowed things to be as they were, perhaps even feeling helpless. What did you notice happening within you during that time? Did a new understanding come without your effort? Did a connection form unexpectedly? Did you find a strength you didn't know you had? Let that memory settle in your heart. See how the growth was already present in the unfolding, not something you had to manufacture. This is the quiet wisdom of Suchness, the understanding that life is already complete, already flowing, exactly as it is. When you practice this trust, you begin to release the invisible weight of expectation. You let go of the need to control the river's path. And with that release, the mind finds its natural calm. This trust makes it easier to release the need to force outcomes. Imagine sitting quietly, perhaps by a window where sunlight falls softly on the floor. Notice the gentle rhythm of your breath, the quiet hum of the world outside. Now, consider the subtle tension we often carry within. The quiet insistence that things must happen a certain way. This is the root of much unease. When we cling to how we believe things should unfold, we create a barrier between ourselves and the natural unfolding of life. Forcing outcomes is like trying to pull a flower from the earth before its time. It causes strain, resistance, and ultimately, suffering. Suchness, the deep wisdom of simply allowing things to be as they are in this very moment, offers a different path. It invites us to release the invisible grip of control and trust that life, in its inherent intelligence, is already moving towards its own natural expression. Think of the old gardener tending his cherry tree. He waters it, provides care, and then simply waits. He does not stand beneath the branches, shaking them, demanding blossoms appear instantly. He understands that the tree has its own seasons, its own timing. The blossoms come when the tree is ready, not when the gardener's impatience dictates. The gardener's calm presence, his release of the need to force the bloom, allows the tree's natural potential to express itself fully. This is suchness in action. It is not passivity. It is active presence without the burden of demand. The blossoms, when they come, are vibrant and true because they were not forced. Now, bring this awareness into your own life. Notice the next time you find yourself tightening your shoulders, your mind racing with how something must turn out. A conversation, a project, a relationship. Feel the subtle energy of that striving. Instead of adding more force, take one slow breath. Gently place a hand on your heart, or simply acknowledge within, I'm trying to make this happen. Then, with kindness, consciously release the need. Let go of the imagined script. Allow the situation to breathe, to unfold in its own time and way. This is not about giving up. It is about releasing the exhausting effort of trying to hold the river in your hands. What happens when you stop making things happen? The frantic mental chatter often softens. The tightness in your chest begins to ease. You might notice a quiet space opening up within you, a space where clarity can arise. Surprisingly, the outcome may not be what you envisioned, yet it often carries a deeper sense of rightness, a quality of ease that forced outcomes never hold. You discover that life is not something to be controlled, but a current to be trusted, a river to be gently navigated. This simple act of release, this conscious letting go of the need to force, is the very ground from which effortless action and true harmony arise. It is the practice of trusting the natural flow, moment by moment, without the heavy weight of expectation. It dissolves the illusion that we must be the architect of every detail, freeing us to simply be present with what is. This release supports flowing with the current of life. Imagine a river flowing through a valley. It doesn't force itself through rocks, nor does it resist the slope. It simply moves with the land's natural contour, finding its path without struggle. This is the essence of flowing with life's current, a deep alignment with reality itself, not a passive surrender. It is active presence, a quiet trust that the path is already unfolding. We release the need to push or pull, to shape the river into something it is not. Instead, we notice the natural rhythm already present, and we move with it. In the Zen tradition, a monk once sat by a rushing stream, observing how the water gathered strength around a stone, then flowed smoothly on the other side. He didn't try to stop the water or make it go faster. He simply watched, breathing with its pace. The water's movement was not resistance. It was its true nature. When we align with the rhythm of our breath, the steady beat of our heart, or the effortless flight of a bird across the sky, we step into this same natural flow. We don't control the breath. We simply rest in its gentle rise and fall, We don't command the bird, we watch its path with quiet attention. This practice is not about doing less, but about being more fully present with what already is. Notice where you feel resistance against life's current. Perhaps it's in the morning rush when traffic slows and you tense your jaw, or at work, when a project doesn't unfold as planned and you feel the urge to force a solution. Where does life flow easily for you? Maybe it's when you're gardening, feeling the earth under your hands, or sharing a meal with someone without needing to fix anything. These moments of ease are not accidents. They are the natural state when we stop fighting the current. Resistance creates friction. Alignment creates space for things to simply be. The tension we feel is the friction of trying to hold on to a moment that has already passed, or to force a moment that hasn't arrived yet. When we soften that grip, we find the calm that was always there beneath the surface. Reflect now on your own day. Where did you feel a subtle tug against the flow, a tightness in your shoulders, a sigh of frustration, a mental note to fix something? And where did you feel a gentle ease, a natural unfolding without effort? This is not about blame, but about gentle awareness. It is the practice of noticing the current beneath the surface of our thoughts and feelings. When we see where we resist, we can choose to soften, to align, to let the river carry us forward. The resistance is often a signpost pointing to where we've forgotten the flow. This flow is not passive. It is the active choice to trust the unfolding, to let go of the need to control the river's course. It is the quiet confidence that when we move with reality, not against it, the path reveals itself. The river doesn't worry about reaching the sea, it simply flows. We don't need to worry about the destination either. We simply need to be present with the water moving through us, the breath moving through us, the life moving through us. This flow supports trusting the process of change. Imagine standing by a stream on a quiet morning. The water moves steadily, carrying leaves and twigs without effort, without complaint. It simply flows, meeting each rock, each bend, with quiet ease. This is life's natural rhythm, not a path to be forced, but a current to be felt. Change is not an interruption, it is the very substance of existence, as natural as the turning of the season. Trusting this flow means seeing change not as a problem to solve, but as wisdom unfolding before us. It is the deep knowing that resistance only creates suffering, while acceptance reveals the inherent peace within the movement itself. Consider the simple act of watching a single maple leaf. In autumn, it shifts from green to gold, then red, finally releasing its hold to float downstream. It does not fight the change, does not worry about the coming winter. It simply is, fully present in its own transformation. This is not passivity, it is profound awareness. The leaf trusts the process of becoming, knowing its change serves the whole. When we observe such moments, whether the shifting clouds above, the gentle shift in our own mood, the way a cup of tea cools without our command, we practice seeing change as part of life's seamless wisdom. We notice the change without grasping for it to be different, without pushing against the present moment. We simply allow it to be as it is. This practice begins in the smallest observation. Next time you feel a shift in your mood, a sudden rain shower, or the way light changes in a room, pause. Breathe. Notice the change without naming it good or bad. Do not say, "I shouldn't feel this way," or "Why is the rain falling now?" Instead, gently observe, this is how things are right now. Feel the coolness of the rain. Sense the quiet shift in your breath as your mood softens. This small act of non-resistance dissolves the tension we often carry. It is not about controlling the change, but about releasing our tight grip on how we think it should be. When we stop fighting the natural unfolding, anxiety about the future loses its power. Why? Because we realize the future is not separate from the present moment. It is simply the next step in this continuous flow. Worrying about what comes next is like trying to hold water in your hands. The more you grasp, the more it slips away. Trusting the process means understanding that each moment holds the wisdom for what is needed right now. This quiet trust dissolves the fear of uncertainty. We no longer see change as a threat to our plans, but as the very fabric of life supporting us. Anxiety fades because we are no longer living in the imagined future, but resting in the clear awareness of what is. This trust is not passive waiting, it is active, present engagement with life as it truly is. It is the calm confidence that arises when we stop forcing outcomes and simply allow the natural current to carry us. It is the peace found in the leaf's release, in the stream's steady movement. This quiet trust in the process of change is the foundation for truly living in suchness, the clear, calm awareness of life as it unfolds, without distortion. It prepares us to integrate this wisdom, not just in moments of transition, but into every ordinary breath, every shared meal, every challenge met with open hands. For when we trust the flow, we discover that life itself is the gentle, wise guide we have been seeking. This trust prepares us to integrate suchness into all aspects of life. Calm isn't a goal to reach, but the quiet space that reveals itself when we stop pushing to be somewhere else. It's not found in the future, nor earned through effort, but recognized in the very moment we release the need to control or fix our experience. This is the gentle truth of non-striving, the moment we notice our mind tightening, reaching, and trying to manufacture stillness. We've already stepped away from calm. We're not failing to be calm, we're simply caught in the effort to become calm. The practice isn't about adding serenity, but about noticing the subtle tension of that very effort and softly releasing it. Return to the simple awareness of your breath, the sound of the wind, the feeling of your feet on the ground. Not to become calm, but simply to be here, exactly as you are. Imagine a still pond on a windless morning. The water isn't striving to be still, it simply is still because there is no wind to disturb it. The pond doesn't try to become calm, it simply reflects the sky, the clouds, the trees, without effort or desire. Our mind, when free from the push to be calm, naturally settles into this same quiet clarity. It's not that we become empty or passive, it's that we stop creating a barrier between ourselves and the present moment. The struggle to be calm is the very thing that makes calm feel distant. When we stop chasing it, the space we've been trying to fill simply becomes clear. Notice the next time you find yourself trying to quiet your thoughts or forcing yourself to feel peaceful. Perhaps you're sitting to meditate, or waiting in a line, or even trying to stay calm during a conversation. Feel the subtle tension in your shoulders, the tightness in your jaw, the inner voice saying, "Be calm now." That's the moment to gently pause. Don't judge yourself for trying. Simply acknowledge it with kindness. Then, without adding anything, return to the simplest sensation, the breath moving in and out, the weight of your body in the chair, the sound of the world around you. This is the practice. It's not about achieving a state, but about returning again and again to the simple fact of being present. There's no need to make anything happen. You're already here, whole and complete, in this very moment of noticing. Reflect on this. What happens when you stop chasing calm? The frantic energy of striving dissolves. The constant background hum of worry fades. The mind, no longer busy with the effort of becoming something it already is, settles into its own natural quiet. It's not that everything becomes perfect or easy, but that the struggle to make things perfect or easy falls away. You find yourself meeting each moment with a quiet confidence. Not because you've achieved calm, but because you've stopped fighting against the reality of this moment. You realize calm isn't something you need to build. It's the ground beneath your feet, always present when you stop walking away from it. This quiet letting go, this gentle return to simple awareness without striving, is what allows calm to arise naturally in all activities. It's not that you suddenly become serene while washing dishes or answering emails. Rather, the effort to be calm dissolves, and the calm that was always there, unobstructed, becomes your natural way of being in the world. This is how the wisdom of Suchness integrates into the fabric of daily life. The calm mind isn't a special state reserved for meditation cushions. It's the seamless flow of presence in every ordinary moment. When we finally stop trying to make it happen, consider the ordinary moment of pouring tea. The steam rises. The cup warms in your hands. The liquid fills the cup with a soft sound. Often, we do this while thinking of the next task, the past worry, or the future concern. we miss the simple reality of the act itself. Suchness is not a distant state to be reached. It is the clear awareness that exists within this very moment, within this ordinary activity. It is the gentle noticing of the warmth, the sound, the movement, without needing to add anything else. This is the seamless integration we've been exploring. It is not about adding more to life, but about resting fully within the life that is already happening. Imagine washing the dishes after a simple meal. The water flows. The soap creates soft bubbles. The plates feel smooth under your fingers. Instead of rushing to finish, to get to the next thing, you simply let your attention rest on the experience. Feel the cool water on your skin as you rinse a bowl. Hear the quiet splash as you turn it over. See the light reflecting on the wet surface. There is no need to make it special. It simply is. This is suchness. It is the practice of being fully present in the act itself, as if this single moment, this single action, holds the entire universe of meaning. You are not trying to achieve calm, you are simply being fully awake to what is here, now. The dishwashing is not a chore to endure, it becomes a quiet practice of presence, a small space where the mind settles naturally. This shifts everything. When we live suchness in the simple act of eating breakfast, the taste of the toast, the warmth of the tea, the sound of the morning birds become not just background noise, but the very substance of our awareness. The routine task of walking to the mailbox transforms from a minor interruption into a mindful movement, feeling the ground beneath your feet, noticing the air on your face, the rhythm of your steps. The mundane becomes sacred not because it changes, but because our awareness changes. We stop seeing the activity as a hurdle to overcome or a burden to carry. Instead, we see it as the perfect expression of life unfolding, and we meet it with gentle attention. The weight of should or must dissolve. There is only the water, the dish, the step, the breath, the mind, no longer straining against the present moment, finds its natural calm. It is not that the activity becomes easier, it is that our relationship to the activity changes. We are no longer separate from the task, we are the awareness within the task, flowing with it. Reflect on your own daily routines. How does it feel to choose just one small activity, like stirring your coffee, and do it with this complete attention? What shifts when you stop thinking about the next thing and simply allow yourself to be fully here, with the sound of the spoon, the scent of the coffee, the warmth of the cup? Does the task feel lighter? Does the mind feel less crowded? Does the experience itself become richer, more vivid, more alive? This is the gentle revolution of living suchness. It is not a grand achievement, but the simple, profound shift of recognizing that calm is not something we find outside our daily actions. It is the natural state revealed when we stop searching for it elsewhere and simply rest within the activity itself. This integration makes calm mind the natural state of being. Consider the quiet space between one breath and the next, a space often unnoticed, yet always present. This is not a state we must build or reach. It is the very nature of the mind itself, unobscured by the constant chatter of thought. In the gentle rhythm of your own breathing, or in the pause before you speak, you touch this natural calm. It is not a destination earned through effort, but the ground from which all experience arises, already complete. Suffering, the user might ask, comes not from this calm state, but from the mind's own activity, its grasping, its resisting, its endless creating of stories about what is happening. When we stop fighting the present moment, when we simply rest within the ordinary flow of life, the calm mind reveals itself as the unchanging background to all phenomena. It is not something separate from your daily life, but the very texture of it, when you stop trying to make it different. Imagine the simple act of washing dishes. Water flows over your hands. The soft sound of porcelain, the warmth of the water. In this ordinary moment, there is no need to seek calm elsewhere. The calm is already here, beneath the surface activity. You are not striving to feel peaceful. You are simply noticing the water, the sound, the feel of the dish in your hand. In that noticing, without adding any commentary, you experience the calm space between thoughts. It is not a void, but a fullness, a deep quiet that holds everything without resistance. This is the natural state of the mind, always available, always present, yet often overlooked because we are so busy with the mental activity that obscures it. The mind does not need to be made calm. It simply needs to be allowed to rest in its own nature, like water settling after a ripple has passed. Now, try this in your next pause. Perhaps as you stand waiting for the kettle to boil, or as you sit for a moment before beginning your next task. Simply notice the space between your thoughts. Do not chase the calm. Do not try to make it stronger. Just allow yourself to be aware of the quiet, the stillness that exists even amidst the movement of daily life. What does it feel like to be calm without effort? Is it a lightness in the chest? A softening around the eyes? A sense of being held, not by anything external, but by the very nature of awareness itself? It is not a feeling to be captured, but a quality of presence to be recognized. It feels familiar, almost like coming home to a place you have always known but forgotten. This calm is not dependent on circumstances. It is the ground beneath the changing surface of thoughts and sensations. This simple noticing, this gentle resting in the space between thoughts, is the practice of living suchness. It is not a technique to master, but a natural unfolding when we release the effort to control or change the present moment. The more we practice this awareness, the more seamlessly calm mind becomes our foundation for every action, every interaction, every ordinary moment of life. We begin to see that calm is not something we find outside ourselves, but the very essence of our being, revealed when we stop seeking it. This realization supports the final integration of wisdom, where the profound truth of suchness becomes the effortless, natural way of being in the world. The mind, resting in its own nature, is the calm, the peace, the freedom that has always been here. As the day softens into evening, notice how the calm you've been resting in all along simply continues. It's not something you gather up at sunset. It's the gentle rhythm of your breath, the quiet space between thoughts, the ease with which you move through your final tasks. This is the natural state you've been discovering, calm, not as a goal achieved, but as the very ground of your being, always present. Wisdom isn't stored in books or reserved for special moments. It's lived in the quiet hum of ordinary activity, in the space between one breath and the next. It's the awareness that arises when you truly see what is, without needing to change it. Consider washing the evening dishes. The water is cool, the bowl smooth in your hands, the sound of water gentle against ceramic. You don't think, I must be mindful. You simply are present with the cool touch, the sound, the simple act. This is suchness, the mind resting fully in the reality of this moment, without adding anything else. No striving, no judgment. Just the quiet knowing that this is enough, right here, right now. It's not a performance, it's the natural unfolding of awareness when we stop trying to be anywhere else. At the close of your day, take a quiet moment to gently recall one such instant where suchness was clear. Maybe it was the way sunlight fell on your coffee cup this morning, the sound of a bird singing as you walked, or the deep calm you felt while listening to someone speak without planning your reply. Let that moment return to you, not to relive it, but to feel its quiet truth. Notice how it felt to simply be there without effort. How did it feel to see the world as it was, not as you wished it to be? This reflection isn't about analyzing, it's about remembering the natural peace that was already there, waiting to be recognized. Then, as you prepare for tomorrow, carry this calm awareness forward. It's not about adding more to your day, but about seeing the ordinary with fresh eyes. When you pour your morning tea, feel the warmth of the cup. When you step outside, notice the air on your skin. When a thought arises, let it pass like a cloud without needing to hold on to it. The calm mind isn't something you build, it's the space that opens when you stop resisting what is. It's the knowing that wisdom isn't separate from your life. It's the very texture of your life, woven into every breath, every step, every ordinary moment. This is the essence of a calm mind, living suchness without effort. It's not a distant ideal. but the seamless flow of awareness right here, right now. As the night deepens, rest in this knowing. The calm you seek is already the ground beneath your feet, the air you breathe, the quiet pulse of your own being.